Okay, chaps. Luke, do you want to get us started?
Where to start with that? I think we'll start with the equalisers. You equalised twice in the game and conceded within 2 minutes and within 1 minute, both goals that you could clearly avoid. That must be incredibly frustrating for a manager and a team.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to give an explanation for that. We worked so hard to get back into the game twice, as you say. Everton are a tough team to score against. Having to chase the game, expend a lot of energy doing that, and yeah, we hurt ourselves, I think, with some uncharacteristic errors on both goals. I think the second goal in particular probably affects us mentally as well, because I don't think we played particularly well after that. There was a real spell at the beginning of the second half to when we scored, where we were the dominant team and playing well. But yeah, those moments really cost us the game.
The defensive record now doesn't make pleasant reading, does it? I think it's only 2 clean sheets in 21 Premier League games, 3 in 29 in all competitions. That is really your Achilles heel at the moment.
Absolutely, and I think it's such a strange one because we started the season so strong defensively on every metric. Clean sheets, looked like we were really difficult to score against, and that sort of flipped on its head, and that's been coming for us. It's been building, where our defensive resilience, our ability to keep the ball out the net has not been good enough. Really highlighted by today's performance. I think you could see there's no way we should have conceded 3 goals in that game, but we did. That's something we've really got to focus on. We've got to get our dependability back and our reliability back in our defending.
Just one more for me. Might be Anthony Gordon appeared to have been booed off when the substitution was made late on. Obviously, he gave the ball away in the build-up to the third goal. What's your reaction to that, or your view of that?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I think in every moment like that, if that is the case, we've got to try and stick together. Anthony's been brilliant for us in recent weeks, so I'll certainly back him and support him.
Thank you. What's Lee Ryder and then Kieran Kelly, please. Lee?
Do you feel it's like a salvage job now, given the league table and how far we've dropped behind the rivals?
Yeah, certainly in relation to the Premier League, our form for a while has not been strong enough. It's not been good enough. We know that. We take responsibility for that. It's been really frustrating for us, and that is the perils of Europe, I'm afraid, where we've tried to be laser focused on every game and give every attention to every game with the same importance. But with the deluge of games, your focus can be swayed, and our Premier League return in recent weeks has been nowhere near the level that it has been historically, and our home form, it's just been so reliable for us, has tailed off. We've got to try and grab that back as quickly as possible. We love playing here. We want this to be a place where we pick up the most points, where the players feel free to play, and through our own performances, that hasn't been the case.
Just the substitution for Nick was a disappointing day for him, but could you just give us your feel on how things had to be moved around so often?
Yeah, we shuffled around a little bit today to find. I don't think we were quick starters. We conceded a goal. We needed sort of a fresh impetus in the game. I thought the changes helped us, especially in that second half. As I say, I thought that was our best period of the game. Yeah, Nick, we struggled to get him into the game with the amount of ball that we would have liked to have done, and even when he moved to centre forward again, I felt he was short of touches and short of goalmouth involvement, so that's why we made the changes we did.
Kieran?
You were very honest after the Brentford game. Do you have a similar feeling today? That felt like that was a turning point in terms of being a low point and then the results since. How do you kind of explain how that was today?
Yeah, I had a similar feeling, to be honest. Similar feeling. I think every time I look at the players play, I don't see an attitude problem. I don't see the players not trying. I see sometimes maybe the other way, where players are over trying and like not necessarily a good feeling about the way that we're defending collectively. I felt attacking wise, we could still do loads better today, but we had enough ball around their box. We had enough crossing opportunities and half chances. Sandro's hit his volley at the end. It could have been a very different result again, but we're just making too many individual errors that's costing us goals at the other end. You can't do that at this level. If you sort of put a list of our watched a lot of our goals we're conceding, in the Premier League especially, and put them together, it's not good showing for us, so we need to focus on that.
Thank you. I'll go to Keith Downey and then to Craig, please.
Eddie, it feels like a more winnable a game you've got, like Brentford at home a couple of weeks ago, Everton. The more you struggle, and you seem to do better in the games that on paper are harder. How do you explain that?
Yeah, I wouldn't totally disagree with you, Keith. I think you make a valid point. I think with that comes an expectation that the players know how hard the game's going to be, and there's an element of that we can raise our game. I said this before, we can raise our game when we need to. Don't think that's a sign necessarily of a top team, though, that we have to be at that level all the time. The Premier League is so tough. The games are so difficult regardless of who you play or where you play, that if you're off, you're going to get punished. And certainly clean sheets has been a hard thing for us to find in recent games, and we've got to get back to the basics of our game. We've got to hit those right tones defensively. Still feel we're capable of scoring goals at any time, but it's the other end that's costing us the game.
And how should you come off at half time? Was it been set?
Yeah, it looked like an illness. First I was aware as it was at half time he felt he could continue, but it was obvious at the start of that half that he couldn't.
Thank you. Craig?
Eddie, after about half an hour, it was clear you and Jason were getting a message on to change things within 3 minutes of the tactical reshuffle. You scored a goal for 1-1. How do you reflect on that opening 30 minutes, the setup in there with Nick in midfield, Joe Linton on the left? Because it felt like during that opening half hour it was momentum lost, because you came into the game in a good place in terms of feel good, energy. How do you reflect on that opening half an hour, the setup and the application within it?
Yeah, as I always say on these things, it'd be foolish for me to sit here and say I regret the setup. The setup was done with reason and with the time that we had, the limited time that we had to prepare the game. I thought there was good logic behind what we did. And then you see the reality of it and you think that we didn't like it, and so we changed it. I don't know, I think sometimes too much can be made of those things. It's a really small tweak in terms of players' positioning. I think the biggest one would be Anthony moving out wide to then maybe get his speed against one of their defenders. That's probably the biggest change. The other two are real minimal changes. So yeah, you can always look back and then reflect and go, would I do that again? That's a different question. That's the perils of being a manager, I'm afraid.
Okay, we've got 5 to get through, so we can just keep it a single question. So we'll go to Martin, then to Daniel, please.
How frustrated are you by the Premier League?
Yeah, hugely frustrated, Martin. I think, we think we're a good team. We think we've got every opportunity to grab games and go on a really good run. I think the team's in a much better place in terms of our general performances than it was at the start of the season, but then we're not putting it together. For 90 minutes, we're still very inconsistent, even in games, and that's a huge frustration. We've been dominant in that second half. We score and then self-implode really in a couple of seconds that cost us the game. That's hugely frustrating for everybody. So only we can look to improve that with proper analysis and then a way of moving forward.
And are you seeing that hurt in the dressing room after the games?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it or feel it. Players they're trying, they're working hard, they're giving everything. We're maybe not playing well enough, we're not playing smart enough, but there's certainly not a lack of effort. And I know it's easy to sort of disagree with that, but that's my genuine feeling.
Eddie, is the biggest frustration that today, especially, and the games as well this season, that teams aren't having to be brilliant in an attacking sense to score goals against you? They're sort of coming essentially from nothing in some instances today. Yeah,
of course. I think again, I can't disagree with that. Our defensive performances were really good at the start of the season, as I say, for the first few weeks of the season, probably up until maybe 10 games, we were up there with Arsenal as one of the best defensive teams in the league, and then we've definitely come away from that, and it's something that we've tried to adjust, but we haven't addressed it obviously well enough, and that's something we're going to have to focus on now.
Charlie?
Eddie, you've touched on the individual errors. It was another mistake for the opening goal for Nick. Is the goalkeeper position starting to become a problem for your team, and when the summer rolls around, is that an area you look to prioritise?
Yeah, I think it's difficult for me to comment on any one player or any one position. Just collectively, we've got to defend our goal better. That's everyone across the board. That's me taking responsibility for that first, and then of course filtering that down to the players.
Thank you, Dominic.
3 losses here, 10 changes for in a row in the Premier League for the first time for yourself. Have you lost that fear factor at 10 changes for?
I think it'd be foolish of me to say anything other than we've got to get our home form back on track. We're well aware of how much we enjoy playing here. Historically, under my management, we've loved it. We've embraced it every time we've come back here after a difficult result. There's a good feeling. This is probably the first time where serious question marks are being asked of our home performances. It's something that can't linger too long. We've got to grab it back. Our supporters are incredible. They give us so much. We've got to start giving them something back.
Okay, Chris, to finish, please.
Eddie, you described the defensive mistakes as uncharacteristic earlier, but they keep happening. What do you put that down to, the fact that they are so many individual errors?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there'd be multi-factors behind everything that you see. Multi-factors behind why we conceded today after scoring. In terms of individual errors defensively, it's always a team thing. It's always interlinked. You can look at the person that makes the mistake, but then you've got to sort of go back a bit further than that and go, well, why has that happened and what's the reason? And of course, team selection's key for me. That's my power that I have to make changes. We're limited defensively in terms of that area of the pitch with the injuries that we have. So a lot of that work will have to come from the training ground.
Thanks, everyone. See you midweek.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.